Ayatollah Khamenei tweeted almost every day, "Death to Israel."
I want to see no nuclear weapon in Iran.
And to discuss more, we're now being joined by... All right, so before that, let's talk about these tensions between Iran and Israel that continue to escalate. U.S. President Donald Trump and has now issued a fresh batch of statements on his Truth Social app. Now, in one of the posts, the U.S. president claimed that they know exactly where the so-called supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is hiding. Now, part of his post read, and I'm quoting here, "He is an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out, at least for now." In the same post, Trump also said that they don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers and added their patience is wearing thin. In another post, which was also shared on his X account, Trump wrote and calls, in all caps, and I'm quoting here, "unconditional surrender." His latest post echoed his earlier comments about a complete give-up from Iran on nuclear weapons. Now, prior to that, Trump also claimed complete control of the skies over Iran. He said, I'm quoting, "Iran had good sky trackers and other defensive equipment and plenty of it, but it doesn't compare to American-made, conceived and manufactured stuff. Nobody does it better than the good old USA," unquote. Now, Trump had earlier left the Group of Seven summit in Canada a day earlier. And while speaking to reporters, the U.S. president said he wanted a quote-unquote real end to the nuclear problem with Iran.
Looking at better than ceasefire. We're not looking for a ceasefire. I didn't say I was looking for a ceasefire. That was Emmanuel, nice guy, but he doesn't get it right too often. But we're looking for better than a ceasefire.
All right, now to discuss more, we're being joined by Mohammed Najib, who is a journalist, war correspondent, and security analyst. Now, he is based in Ramallah in Palestine. He reports and writes on the Middle East region for leading newspapers and journals like the Jerusalem Post. Now, of course, let's get into, thank you so much for joining us on the show. First, let me just begin by asking you if you could just tell us about the current situation in Ramallah as the escalations have been reported from in the region.
Yes, actually, the region here witnessed unprecedented escalation between Israel and Iran for the first time. In the previous rounds of escalation, Iran used its proxies in the region, Hezbollah, the Yemenis, the Houthis in Yemen, and Hamas and the Islamic Jihad in Gaza. But now it's a direct military doctrine adopted by Israel and direct military confrontation taking place. The last night, no one is asleep because the missiles continues falling on Israel, and the people here in Ramallah and the West Bank watch the missiles flying from the air skies of Jordan toward Tel Aviv, and the siren sounded. The Palestinians here that link to Israel, so we have a shortage of fuel here. The Palestinians get the electricity, the water, the internet, the telephone from Israel. So if it is hit by the Iranian missiles, then it means it will directly affect the West Bank. Yesterday, so the long queues of Palestinian vehicles standing in front of the fuel station, waiting to get fuel for their cars, but there is a real shortage, and the people here also are scared. They don't have even shelters if the Iranian missiles fallen by mistakes, or the interceptor Israeli missiles that try to intercept the Iranian missiles fallen, and it's happened over the West Bank. So they live in a very confusion, and also the direct escalation between Israel and Iran go to the focus, and no one talk about the ongoing war in Gaza, while Israel intensified its military operation north and West Bank and heavily cracked down and round up hundreds or dozens of Palestinians during the past times, and they closed the West Bank cities and connected from each other parts.
Right, and that's a really important part you pointed out. The Israel-Hamas war is still ongoing. So that being said, how prepared do you think is Israel, considering the fact that they are still going after even the supreme leader in Iran, and they have started attacking and somehow, of course I'm going to get to that, but how prepared do you think Israel is for this war, and what are people in Ramallah thinking about this?
The views here are mixed because the Palestinian factions that adopt the resistance and pro-Hamas and pro-Islamic Jihad, which is were supported by Iran, see that Iran is challenging the Israeli occupation, but the others think that Iran is using the Palestinian cause, and this will lead for more deteriorations and no stabilities, especially the issue in Gaza, because Israel is now continues its war in Gaza against the Palestinians and the starvation and the sufferance, and no one pay attention to that. Now all the focus is concentrated on the Israeli escalation with Iran and the ongoing war. So the Palestinians think they are the loser of that, even directly and physically on the ground, or also on the political issue in the long term, because if Iran defeated, and then Israel will adopt and tighten its policy against the West Bank more and against the Palestinians, and denies their rights, and they will suffer more than what they suffer at the moment.
Right, and also I would like to have your opinion on this. Now, we know that Israel has militarily attacked Iran. They have also attacked the oil and gas plants. Now, this Israeli ambassador to USA has talked about the whole beeper operation as well. Now, another report says a pro-Israel hacking group says it has attacked a major Iranian bank, causing widespread outages. Are we looking at new tactics being used in the region by Israel?
Actually, Israel was unhappy by the American-Iranian talks regarding the nuclear program, Iranian nuclear program. Israel believes that Iran is dishonest, and it tries to manipulate the United States and to continue ahead with its nuclear program. So they were unhappy with that, and they decided to strike Iran before the stop or the fail of the U.S.-Iranian talks about the nuclear program. And Israel thinks that the right step to do is to topple down the Iranian regime, and to topple down the Iranian regime is not happening only through strikes against the nuclear facilities only, but also through strikes against the Iranian refineries that export 90% of the Iranian oil for abroad in Kharj Islands, and that means that Iranians will be unable to pay the salaries of its army and the Revolutionary Guards. And that's also when they targeted the signals, when they targeted the symbols of the Iranians, military and political there. It's a sign for the Iranian opposition to crack down against them. So what's Israel looking for is to topple down the regime, because they think as long as the current regime lasts, then the Iranians can get the Northern Korean knowledge and rebuild again the nuclear facilities and continue the program, which forms a existential threat for Israel. So the Israelis use different precise strikes and direct strike confrontation with Iran, and the cyber war, and operating internally inside Iran, and using the drones and the human intelligence inside Iran, the airstrikes from different areas. So they have a lot of intelligence about Iran, and right now they caused a lot of damage in Iran, while also Iranians send missiles and drones against Israel and also caused damage in Tel Aviv.
Right. And now Prime Minister Netanyahu has claimed that the current war could facilitate the Abraham Accords normalization agreements between Israel and Arab states. Meanwhile, Qatar has warned that Israel's actions would have dire repercussions for the region. What do you make of these statements?
Actually, Netanyahu, based on that Iran also forms a threat for the Saudi Arabia, for the United Arab Emirates, for the Bahrain and Oman, as well as on Kuwait. And he thinks that they were unable to confront Iran directly themselves. So he thinks that he's doing a favor for those countries by weakening their common enemy, Iran, which is a common enemy for both Israel and the Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, United Arab Emirates. And he thinks that he does them a favor by weakening and hitting and striking the Iranian facilities and the Iranian regime. And he hopes in return that he can improve the relationship between Israel and the Gulf countries, especially the Saudi Arabia, that Netanyahu all the time looking for normalization between Israel and the Saudi Arabia.
All right, and also if I could also have your opinion on this whole Israeli, mission of targeting these nuclear targets. How successful do you think Israel can be, and is it also prepared for the risks that it takes to actually attack all these nuclear sites? When there have been reports of some kind of, of course, it's not; these are claims. But what if there is a nuclear leak? Is Israel prepared for that?
I think Israel thought and hoped, and right now they hope that the United States at some point will join Israel in attacking Iran and to destroy some Iranian reactors and facilities. They need special bombs and aircraft to carry those bombs, and this is only available by the United States. Israel doesn't possess those. So they hope that at some point the United States will be dragged to join Israel and the strikes against Iran, and that will speed up the end of the battle and achieve Israeli victory against Iran and lead to the collapse of the Iranian regime. But right now, the United States doesn't want to for escalation, and also the United States allies in the Gulf also are concerned economically and politically for their regimes if the escalation took place. And Iranian also threaten if the United States engaged and participated with the Israeli attacks against Iran, then they will target the U.S. Bases in Qatar and the Bahrain and in the other Gulf countries. So that will be a problem for them and for their Gulf allies.
Right. And also on the part of Iran, Iran's top general says that the country will move from deterrence to punitive operations against Israel. According to you, what options does Iran have as of now to counter Israel?
Iran fire missiles, but also the Israelis intercept those missiles and drones, and just a few number of them arrived to Israel, and this is the maximum what Iran can do else. The cyber security threat against Israel, and they think, but also Iran think that it's a big, huge country, and they can absorb the destruction and the damage, but Israel is a small country, and they cannot bear the casualties and the damage that caused by the Iranian missiles inside Israel. Israel hopes that to destroy and to intercept all the drones that come from the Iranian side as well as the missiles, but sometimes they succeed and cause damage right now and put Israel in full isolation, so they closed all, no flights, most of the borders were closed, and situation are extremely difficult. So they hope that this will not last for a long time. But for the Iranians, they continue firing the missiles and the drones against Israel. And despite the fact that Israel has shocked them by the attacks that happened on down of last Friday, and also continue the attacks inside Iran by the Israeli aircraft that reached there, as well as the drones. So we are witnessing unprecedented full escalation between and direct military engagement and confrontation between Israel and Iran that never happened before, and no one expected to happen in this way.
Israel has already started its attacks, and it has now struck a centrifuge production facility. It clearly shows how prepared Israel is right now. What are your reactions to this?
Yeah, of course, Israel have strong intelligence about Iran and Iranian nuclear facilities, and also infiltration of the Iranian security and intelligence and those engaged in the nuclear program. And also it seems they got more lethal bombs and effective missiles to attack and to cause damage to those Iranian facilities, because they didn't target them from the beginning. Now they targeting them, so this means that they got a sign or they got more lethal bombs from the United States. And also Israel is seeking by these attacks to incite the Iranian people against their regime. They find, the Iranians suffers from economic situation. They feel they are poor, they don't have food, and they are wondering why Iran spent all of those money, the Iranian money, on the nuclear program and on Hamas and Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, and the Houthis in Yemen. So Israel also playing with this reality against them and take the advantage of the Iranian internal anger against the regime, to incite them, to encourage them to topple down the regime, and also at the same time to said at the end of this war that they achieve victory by delaying the Iranian nuclear program for another 40 years, not to be close to enrich the nuclear bomb and to form a threat to Israel. So they are succeed on the intelligence track, on the infiltration track, on the destruction of the nuclear program facilities track, and also on inciting the Iranian people to topple the regime, which is the ultimate goal of Israel at the moment.
Absolutely. Well, of course, we're going to be looking at all the developments coming in, but thank you so much, Mr. Mohammad Najib, for joining us and giving your insights.
Thank you.